Hey y'all, my name is Amanda Chavez Barnes. I'm Senior Director of Programs at Women's March. We are on a mass call for feminists, women, and our allies. And we are so excited to be here together today. Thank you for joining us. This is a webinar, not a meeting, so you can't be heard. Don't worry about putting yourself on mute or don't worry about your camera. We can't see you, but we can see your chats. There is a Q&A. We are going to try to keep this short and sweet to 30 minutes. If you have questions, please go ahead and drop those in the Q&A so that we can follow up with you, make sure that we answer those. For accessibility, we do have closed captioning. There's not a manual captioner. This is being recorded, so we will tidy up the captions during the recording. This is an organizing call. It's not a press call. So everything that we're saying here is off the record. Yes, it's being recorded. You'll be able to catch the recording afterward on YouTube and on our Facebook. And if folks who are trying to get in, but they can't because we've reached capacity, tell them to go ahead and head over to the Women's March Facebook page, and they'll be able to watch it there. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Women's March Executive Director, Rachel Carmona, to welcome us into this call.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining. I am just as excited as everyone else is to hear all of the amazing things that our organizing folks and MomsRising, who is so generous to join us at the last minute. Like many of you, maybe I'm in bed. It's already been a long day. This is like my 5th call. So I want to invite everybody into being as comfortable as you can be, so that you can be as present as possible here, and really just get the download, because here's what's going on in the world right now. We, in the last week, have seen at least 3 completely unprecedented things happen. We went from the mass call we did, some of you may have been on it, was around political violence in the wake of the assassination attempt of a former U.S. And we understand that these are very polarized times, or very challenging times, very difficult conditions. I think I see the meme come across my feed almost every day that's saying, I'm tired of living in interesting times. And yet, and still, regardless of whether we ask for it or not, here we are. And the bad news is we can't control the things that are happening around us. And the good news is we are in this shit together. And so if I had to pick a squad, this is the squad I would pick. And that means that we are very lucky indeed. So I just want to name all of the things that are happening here, from the political violence that feels like, oh my God, this is really scary, to this kind of whiplash moment of, and of course, in between was the RNC, where we're seeing things, including the calcification of Project 2025, even though they claim that they don't know her, and all of the really scary aspects of many of our worst fears of what could happen for the future, for our families, for our futures, for our children, and certainly for a feminist future, be at direct threat from the RNC, from my hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to this whiplash moment of a historic hope inside of the Democratic Party, where we're seeing unprecedented numbers of people volunteering, getting out in the streets, joining webinars, and just getting active across the board. And so we're here to do a little bit of meaning making here. And I mean for 5 minutes, but really what we're talking about doing is how to roll up your sleeves and get to work. Because honestly, that's the first thing that we have to do, keep a win in our sights. So with that, I'm going to toss it to Tamika, who's going to talk a little bit about this political moment, and then we're going to get right into the nitty-gritty of what can each one of us do to make the best intervention possible to make sure that we win for us all.
Hey, y'all. Hey. Amanda, do you want to run through the agenda a little bit, and then I'll jump in and take it from there?
All right. So we are going to try to keep this as close to 30 minutes as we can. I heard that there was a Latinas for Harris call happening at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if folks are looking forward to joining that or joining any other calls, we know there's lots of calls happening. So we're going to try to keep this brief. We are going over first a feminist grounding, a WTF is happening. What's the feminist take? And Tamika is going to give us that. We're also going to be talking about our marching orders from MomsRising. And so we're really, like Rachel said, grateful to have Kristen Rowe-Finkbeiner here. Then I'll be sharing the Women's March marching orders, the ways that you can plug in on the road to November 5th and beyond. And in next steps in closing out, I'll share how we can stay connected. I also wanted to just go over some of our community norms as we're welcoming folks into community. Some of us it's the first time that we've been together in community. just asking folks to assume best intentions of one another, knowing that we're all learning together. Some of us are learning how to get out the vote for the first time. Some of us are learning how to organize an action for the first time. Some of us are learning how to use TikTok for the first time. So let's have compassion for ourselves and each. And if there are things you need from us, assume that we're doing our best as fast as we can. Even if we might not get back to you as quickly as we like, Women's March is a really tiny, small but mighty team. And so we are working to get back to you as quickly as we can. So please know that it's not because we're ignoring you. It's just because, like probably a lot of y'all, we got lots of balls that we're juggling. And then our opposition wants us splintered and fighting ourselves. So let's always try to resist that, even when we feel stressed out and tired. And lastly, we have to stay grounded for the long haul fight. We don't want you exhausted and burnt out. We have to be long distance runners. So let's just make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, checking in and pacing ourselves for the long haul. Again, thank you so much for being here. Now I'm going to kick it to Tamika for real this time.
Hey, y'all. My name is Tamika Middleton. I am the managing director here at Women's March. I'm so excited to see so many of y'all on the call today. I also saw the question about what we were playing when you joined us. And so I do want to answer that because we were being very intentional about that. That intro song, that song is Ought to Be a Woman by Sweet Honey in the Rock. And we wanted to honor, in particular, Bernice Johnston Reagan, who's a founder of Sweet Honey in the Rock and also founder of SNCC's Freedom Singers, who just passed away last week. And that is one of the reasons why we wanted to bring that song and bring that energy into the space, because here we are in a new day, as Rachel said, unprecedented times. What I am here to do is lay some of the groundwork of what is happening right now and where Women's March is in this moment. So we know a lot of you may be new to the Women's March world. And if you are, hey, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Women's March was founded in 2017 in the aftermath of the election, the first election of President Donald Trump, as a resistance movement. Was a grassroots movement that was generated online that led to this historic mobilization that happened in DC in January 2017. And we are now not just a march, but a movement, an organization whose mandate really is to build the feminist movement in this country and to bring everyday women into the organizing space, into social justice work. And so that is what we have been up to, and that is what we will continue to be up to. I'm very grateful to be a part of this Women's March community. Shout out to all of y'all Women's Marchers, all of y'all who have been at a march, maybe in DC, maybe in whatever city or state you are located in. Shout out to all of y'all who are representing in all the cities that we saw at the top of the call. One of the reasons that we wanted to have this call tonight is that we have announced, as of yesterday, that our Women's March's sister organization, Women's March WIN, which is our PAC, has endorsed Kamala Harris for president. And I know there are maybe questions about what does that mean, why, etc. And that is what we're up here to chat about on today. So for us, we have brought this assessment for some time now that the conditions that we are facing are deadly serious. Organizations that are left of center have been tracking the rise of authoritarian and fascist tendencies across the country for several years. And Women's March has been loud and clear in sounding that alarm. And in fact, our very existence as an organization is a reaction to the rise of those fascist tendencies as embodied by the election of Donald Trump as president in 2016. So we feel we have a mandate to remain steadfast in our fight to grow the feminist movement to fight fascism in this country. When we say, and when we rock our shirts that say feminist versus fascist, we mean that is ultimately our commitment as an organization and as a movement. We believe that with the threat of a second Trump presidency looming, it is our duty and our responsibility to mount the strongest opposition possible to right-wing forces. And this is not just a question in these national elections, but one that we must take seriously up and down the ballot. We cannot afford to cede ground. I'll say that again. We are not in a position where we can afford to cede any ground to the opposition. And so we are also clear that elections are not the be all and end all for feminist organizing. Like, we do this. It's what we do, what we've been up to, what we will continue to be up to is organizing in the electoral moment and beyond. And so we know that part of the role of elections is to create the terrain that we will organize on. And we know that terrain will be shaped over the next 4 years by who is in the Oval Office. Late Cape Verdean freedom fighter Amilcar Cabral taught us that we must base our struggle on the concrete realities of our country. Our charge in this moment is to create space within our current reality to struggle towards a feminist vision. And for us at Women's March, that means that we cannot hand the keys to the kingdom to fascists. Our current reality is that we do not currently have a viable third-party candidate that can win a presidential election. This does not mean that we do not believe in the necessity of building or supporting third parties. In fact, we are strong supporters and partners of the Working Families Party and will continue to be. And our reality is that we will inevitably have critiques of any politician in any role. And part of our work beyond elections is to hold them accountable, to push them, and to reshape the ground in which our folks live and on which we organize. So what does this mean? What are we calling y'all together for? It means that we turn up, we turn out, and we get all of our people to do the same. Right now, we require all hands on deck to stem the rising tide of fascism and to create the landscape for us to organize towards a feminist future. And so with that context, I am going to pass it over to our colleague, Kristen Rowe-Finkbeiner from MomsRising, who is going to share some about where they are, where MomsRising is, and what their kind of call to action, what their marching orders are for y'all in this moment.
Thank you to Team Women's March. Thank you to all of you who are on Zoom, who are on Facebook, who are all over the place, rising, marching, working for a better tomorrow together. As you heard, I'm Kristen Rowe-Finkbeiner. I'm Executive Director of MomsRising, an organization of over 1,044,000 members with a mission of increasing family economic security, stopping discrimination, and building a nation where every single person can thrive. Each of us, as you have just heard, are needed in this moment in history. Each of us are powerful voters. And I'm going to talk a little bit about mom voters because we're MomsRising, but that's also all of you because mom voters and us as voters together power our democracy. So to bring us into the room together, no matter what room we're in, could everyone who is a mom please raise a hand? Now, everyone who's ever had a mom, raise a hand. I want to be clear. Our movement is anyone with a belly button. That is you. And we're not just saying mom voters are powerful. We're not just saying it. We have the numbers to back us up. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit because it explains some things about what's going on around us. There are 94 million mom voters in America. 94 million means that there are enough low-frequency mom voters in key areas to not only affect the outcome of the presidential race, but also to positively affect the outcomes of key U.S. Senate and U.S. House races too. What does enough mean when we're talking about voters? In terms of enough, we're talking about the margin to win. For instance, in Arizona, which is a key state, there are about 317,000 key mom voters who are either progressive base voters who don't always vote, or who are persuadable voters who do always vote. And the margin of victory in Arizona for Biden in 2020 was just 10,000 votes, just 10,000 votes. When you look at the numbers, you can see there's 317,000 key mom voters who are low frequency voters and the margin of victory, 10,000. When we do the math, we can see how powerful we are. Most of the swing states like Arizona have margins like that one. This is a close race, people. This is a close moment in history. We are teetering on the edge of some big decisions as a country. And this power of this vote is why ever since Donald Trump, also known as the malignant Cheeto, lost the Oval Office, the far right has been targeting mom voters through AstroTurf efforts led by organizations like the so-called Moms for Liberty, which we call Moms Against Liberty, as they try to pit moms against moms in an attempt to grab votes. That goes to the beginning of this call. In this election cycle, there are some forces that are going to try to pit us against each other, but we won't stand for that because the forces are trying to do that to grab our votes. So no, we are going to stand strong together. And of course, these far-right groups aren't just for moms, and they're not for liberty at all. In fact, they're against the policies that poll after poll shows moms really want and need, like childcare, paid family medical leave, and reproductive freedoms. So I'm going to tell you some bad news, then I'm going to tell you some good news, then I have 3 actions we each can take. And I won't talk for more than 5 hours, I promise. The bad news is that the constant dishonest disinformation of the far that's been an onslaught targeted at mom voters every single day since Donald Trump lost the election has created really big problems. In fact, there was a 17% slide of mom voters away from Biden and to Trump in the last couple of years. Here's the good news. Fortunately, we have great news. We have a spectacular candidate in Kamala Harris, and we have solutions. Specifically, we together have 3 solutions and 3 actions to go with those solutions. The first solution is we have together the poll-tested messaging that works to break through what I call the hate spaghetti that the far right is throwing at the wall to see what sticks, divide us, and take our votes. We have the poll-tested messaging that works to combat that. Second, we together, MomsRising, Women's March, many other organizations have the GOTV programs, Get Out the Vote programs, to bring voters back and to get low-frequency voters fired up and out voting again. Third, we have the people. Look at all of us. We just broke the internet. We just broke Zoom. They're standing room only. Come on, we're amazing. All of us together can run programs in our communities, with our friends, on the ground, and across the nation to build our democracy to be what it should be, what we dream it could be. So let's take those solutions briefly, one at a time, with an action for each. First, in terms of poll-tested messaging, it's clear that care policies, along with abortion access, and by the way, 6 out of 10 people who have abortions are moms. It's clear that those 2 policy areas, when combined together, both swing voters toward Democrats and spark low-frequency voters to get out of their houses to vote. For instance, I'm going to share some polling number, and they are spectacular. A recent Hart Research poll by Jeff Guerin found that, quote, when it's affordable childcare, home care, or paid family medical leave on the ballot, voters are more likely to vote for a Democrat who supports these policies than a Republican who does not, by a margin of at least 32 points. 32 points. Further, 7 of 10 Americans across political parties are more likely to go out of their house to vote for a candidate who supports childcare. Last, even 76% of Trump voters support paid family medical leave. Right now, we have a moment. We have candidates with a clear distinction that allow us to capitalize on this care momentum. For example, Kamala Harris is publicly for all of these highly popular care policies, while Donald Trump definitely is opposed. In other words, we can take advantage of the care bump. So your action, talk about these issues with confidence, with families, with friends, with neighbors, and share where VP Harris stands. She stands with us. She stands against hate. She stands for care, and she stands for reproductive freedom. That's important information for people to know. And even though there's a lot of hate and disinformation going around us, we know that your neighbors, the majority of your neighbors, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Libertarian, Green Party, actually agree with you on these policies. So be confident when you share where VP Harris stands. Second, there are many groups, including the Women's March, MomsRising, and many more, with those highly effective Get Out the Vote programs. And we need volunteers. At MomsRising right now, we just are launching our mom-to-mom handwritten postcard program. We're going to share a link in the chat, people to sign up. You sign up, you can get bundles of postcards. They're pre-addressed and pre-stamped to low-frequency mom voters. You can color on them with crayons, with markers, and just share your enthusiasm for voting. You never know. Many people need a little bit extra push, a little bit extra spark to get them out the door to vote, and you could be that person. Remember, the margins are narrow, so having a nice, perfectly beautiful postcard come from you to a voter who might not vote in a key area could be the difference in the election. Third, we have the people. Look at us. We're powerful. We're voters, and we can mobilize our communities like never before, and we need to. So the action here for the third one is to make sure you are registered to vote. A lot of times people are getting pushed off the voter rolls. Make sure you were not pushed off the voter rolls. Then after that, like putting on your oxygen mask first on an airplane, move to your friends, families, and neighbors and make sure that they are also still registered to vote. You can go to MomsRising at Moms Vote. Just search MomsRising, Moms Vote. We have a voter registration check app on our website that you can check out. You can go to vote.org. You can go lots of different places, but make sure that people know there's a lot of disinformation out there right now. There's a lot of voter suppression right now, and we need to vote with love and joy, and we need to stay away from the hate and the cynicism. Make no mistake, the cynicism that's coming out around us in the news from the far right is a voter suppression tactic. So don't give up. There will be ups, there will be downs, there will be lots of in-betweens. It's going to be a roller coaster between now and November, but together we're a powerful force. In closing, our voices, our votes, our work, and our time are all desperately needed to make history and to put the first woman, Black person, and person of South Asian descent into the Oval Office, Vice President Kamala Harris. We've started this journey together on Zoom tonight. Here we go. And we're going to end this journey in the White House. Make no mistake. Together, we're unstoppable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen. A round of applause. Appreciate all your reaction emojis. That was fantastic. And thank you, Tamika, for your earlier grounding as well. I know it was really needed context. So I want to share my screen a little bit to show y'all some of the things that you can engage in with both Women's March and Moms Rising. If you missed it, the link in the chat, this is what you're signing up for. You got some free postcards. So you don't even have to pay for it. You don't have to buy these ones. These postcards are free that you can sign up to get out the vote by writing postcards. And if you, the link is a little long, but if you go to momsrising.org and you click around, you can find that link on their website, and we'll put it in the chat again as well. Somebody asked, are we having a march? Yes, we are. And we updated some of our branding to whose house? Our house. We are having a march, DC and everywhere, November 2nd, 2024. And we'll share a little bit more about that. But on the road to November, I want y'all to go to mobilize.us/Women's March and sign up for those actions there. The first thing that you're going to see that we have is an interest form to sign up for our Knock Your Block GOTV training. This is where we're going to skill y'all up to help you train up to organize both in person and online. As Kristen said, there's a lot of disinformation and misinformation. So we're going to give you some tools and skills to get out there and knock your actual block, get those low propensity voters or people who might be less inclined to go out and vote in your neighborhood, make connections and get them to turn out to vote. And build long-term relationships, because we know that relationships and connection is actually at the heart of organizing, and that's what's going to win, not only in November, but in the long term. We don't want to sacrifice our long-term success in defeating this fascist movement for short-term winning an argument. So we're also going to train you up with some messaging guidance and how to talk to your loved ones, and also how to talk about these things online and how to respond and combat disinformation. If you go to the Women's March website, you will also see a sign up on our homepage for digital defenders. So if you scroll down, you'll see digital defenders. If that's something that you're interested in, if you want our toolkits with messaging guidance, with things that you can share on social media and tips and tricks, do's and don't do's, and also to get notified whenever we have our digital defenders trainings on particular topic areas, please go ahead and sign up. Our digital defenders have been able to make a really big difference in 2020, and we're back in 2024 to help combat misinformation online. And we also want to let y'all know that for November 2nd, we're encouraging folks to see it as not only a march, but also a GOTV effort. And so this is the final weekend before the last day to vote. And there's folks that you might want to organize a march, but you might also want to organize a GOTV effort. So please go ahead, and when you pledge to march, you'll see on the form, you can select, I want to plan a local GOTV effort. And we're planning for these marches to be later in the afternoon as well, so that you can do both. You can actually go out and do your GOTV events. If you want to, you can knock on some doors, and then you can come and celebrate in community with your feminist frontline against fascism, and go ahead and march and rally and show our collective power and our strength as we rally and march to usher in the first female president in history. With that, we also have an opportunity for y'all who would like to go to DC for the November 2nd march and are thinking about organizing travel to get there. If you go to action.womensmarch.com/groups, we'll put that in the chat. You can go ahead and organize a caravan, resistance road trip, ride for our rights. And so if you want to work with other people to organize road trips to DC to show out and show our power collectively, you can go ahead and go to actions.womensmarch.com and sign up for groups there. And as always, you can check our map. We're going to start seeing this map light up with little dots everywhere as y'all are planning local GOTV efforts, as we're sharing events from our partner groups like MomsRising, Working Families Party, and other folks. So please go check the map frequently. And again, go and check mobilize.us/Women's March. Finally, I want to let y'all know how you can stay connected with us as we hop off this call. We're winding down, how you can stay connected with us throughout and be in community with other feminists and other women who are committed to this fight for the long haul, who are long distance runners just like you. So if you are aware of the Pantsuit Nation Facebook group, I'm actually one of the admins on that group. Women's March is an admin on that group. And so if you come see us in there, we'll be sharing in community there. Please follow us on our social media accounts. And we also have, as you can see here, Women's March welcome parties that you can sign up to attend. These are things that if you are new to the community, or if you just want to spend some time with other like-minded feminists, have some Q&A, things that you want to talk shop about, or need help brainstorming on, need help setting up an event, or talking through something happening in your locality that you just want a thought partner on, please go ahead and join us for the Women's March welcome parties. I can't guarantee that Tamika will be there, but I did use her photo because it's beautiful, and we know everybody loves Tamika. So sorry, Tamika. Don't want to bait and switch, but hopefully she'll join us sometimes. Lastly, we want to make sure that y'all, again, are connected with us on our socials, if I didn't already say that. And please make sure that you are checking your email, add organizing@womensmarch.com to your email address, or our things don't go to spam when you sign up for them. I know sometimes people are like, I can't find your stuff. It went to junk, it went to spam. Add organizing@womensmarch.com to your email contacts so you can make sure that you get notified whenever we're trying to reach out to you.
Thank y'all again so much for y'all coming out super fast, joining us on this call. Thank y'all for all the comments and questions. We see questions. We know we did not get to all of them, but we will get to them. If you have questions, like Amanda said, follow up with us. Join one of the welcome parties. Hit us up online, and we will try to answer as many questions. We want to thank Kristen again for coming out and joining us and the MomsRising team. Get on those postcards, y'all. But again, we are in unprecedented times in really wonderful ways and also in really scary ways. And so regardless, the ask right now is for you to get in where you fit in. Put on your marching shoes, pick up a pen and a pad and a postcard, go talk to your neighbor. Whatever it is, we need people to get in the movement now. Whatever way moves you and whatever way moves your spirit. This is our invitation to you tonight is if this is your first webinar, your first action you take, please do not let it be your last. So join us, join moms, join whatever organization is in your community. I saw a Legally Women Voters link in the chat, and all of this. There are amazing organizations out here, and we just want you to find a place to be and a place to get active and a place to fight back, because again, we cannot cede ground and we cannot let the fascists win. So with that, y'all, once again, thank you so much, and we will see y'all in the streets. Good night.